All right, here we go. The only main training session before we take on Port Adelaide, and the final time this week that we'll see how the Pies sort of responded after that GWS game. In this session, what I really was looking for is how they trained, how seriously they sort of took it. But we don't want them to be super serious. We want them to muck around a little bit. You would have seen some of the players there as well. But I wanted to hear a lot of talk because that's something that. We didn't get last week against the Giants. Like, I was pretty much on ground level, just a row behind the boundary, and there was barely any talk from the Pies players, from what I could hear when the ball was sort of arriving. We see Josh Naicos and Jeremy Howe. They didn't do any sessions. They were just running around. Howe's knees heavily strapped. He looked okay. They both looked pretty good. I think. I don't know. I think Jeremy Howe might not play. That's what my gut's telling me. But Josh Dacos looks absolutely good to go. Another guy, Billy Frampton, he trained all session. Halfway through the match simulation, he went off with a bit of a rolled ankle or something with his ankle, and he didn't return. We know that Dan Houston plays his first game for the club against his old side, which is just poetic. So I wanted to sort of look at him, see how he was going, and he just looked as sharp as attack. He was fit, firing, and you got to think that we were training with Houston this whole preseason, and not having him maybe stuffed up our system a little bit off that half back line. So I'm really keen to see how he goes with Josh Dacos in the back line or off that half back line, and see what he brings, because Dan Houston is probably top five kicks in the AFL at the moment, and our entries inside the forward 50 were just absolutely shocking. That's why we were missing all those goals, because we was trying to shoot from just not impossible angles, but just stupid angles. So he was one that I watched closely this session, and he looks like he's got something to prove on Saturday night. One thing I did notice throughout this session was they really just stuck to game plan. Like I said, there was sort of match sim. There wasn't a lot of tackling. There wasn't a lot of super pressure drills. Like, there were a couple, but when you're negative 20 down in tackles, and 'cause Scott Pendlebury, the club's greatest ever player, comes out and says, "That's not what we do. That's not how we do it." I would have expected a little bit more pressure drills, a little bit more tackling drills. But again, we don't know what they're doing behind closed doors. They could be doing that all throughout this week, and we just don't see it, which is fair enough. They don't want to show their entire hand, and that's okay. But you would think that that is one huge area for improvement. They were, if you look at it on the flip side, they were doing a lot of sort of evasive drills and getting out of tight situations, because the Giants were just pressuring us. They were pressuring us really well. They were tackling us even better. So maybe they're working on more evasiveness than they were pressure drills this morning. As for changes, we know Will Hoskin-Elliott definitely won't play, so Dan Houston comes in. That's just pretty much a straight swap. Does Jeremy Howe play? Does he not play? I'll talk a little bit more about this in my preview. But from training, if I was to pick someone who impressed me at training that could play, that guy on screen right there, Lockie Sullivan, I thought he did really, really well. Don't mind too much about the black jerseys and the white jerseys. Craig McRae said something about that during his presser, so I wouldn't mind too much. Does Mason Cox play? You would have to drop one of the three M's, the three triple M's, if he was to play. So that's selection is just going to be really, really difficult this week. But Dan Houston obviously definitely comes in for Will Hoskin-Elliott, who I think they said was out for 3 to 4 weeks. Collingwood aren't going to stray from their one wood when it comes to Port Adelaide this weekend. They're going to be still running and gunning, which is what I think this session was mainly about. When match sim was on, like I said, there wasn't too much pressure, but it was just switching. It was the long kicks. It was coming out of the defense. It was working on those stoppages. So don't expect us to stray too far from what we know works. I think the Giants game, it just felt like a bit of an anomaly because that wasn't how we trained. That's not how we play. Giants did really well to trap us up. But if this training session is anything to go by, expect that run and gun to return. Ball movement is just something that we have to get right, and that's what they were doing in this main match sim. Look, there's not really much else to say because the Giants game was, like I said, an anomaly, and it was just that's just not how we do it. But but expect a huge, huge response. I did like everything about this training session. It wasn't too long, especially like this from Reef, just goes absolutely bang. And this is me trying to catch the ball. I miss it, and I was like, oh my god, I had the ball and I just wanted to kick it. But I had to give it back by hand, so I was pretty sad. I wanted to kick the ball. But look, I'm really excited for this game. My match preview comes out tonight. It comes out tonight, and yeah, I just think. Look, I just think we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. That was just an anomaly. So that was it for the main training session. The guys were just having kicks at goal, which we definitely need to. Look, merchandise is available. The link is down below. If you can, it's the best way to support the channel, support me doing this full time. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.